You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
Wow.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist.
Yeah, holy hit him hard right out of the gates. Well done. This is journalism. Take notes. Trump is racist. Just so we're clear. I'm sure everyone already probably knows that. It's not really a question. It's more in order of magnitude, I would say. It's kind of like Trump is racist. Yeah, no kidding. But how racist? And the answer is very. Just a lifelong history of being super racist. Hey, if nothing else, the one example you ever have to pick up is the Central Park 5. Again, innocent black teenage boys falsely accused of sexually assaulting a white woman. He wanted them to be murdered. He wanted to kill them. He wanted them dead. He took out a fucking ad in a newspaper. These are kids. He wanted teenage kids killed, given the death penalty, and they were innocent. They were 100% innocent. Like that is so profoundly racist and fucked up. That's the altruism. That's what you take your own money, you use your own fucking dime to do that shit. Fuck you. Like the guys, oh my God. Yeah, they're refusing to rent to black families in his apartments. Like just again, lifelong history of racism, doing racism, being very, very racist. And just because he's like, I'm the least racist person ever, that doesn't mean that he's not an extreme racist.
Here's more of my interview with former President Trump. They're also attacking you for other ridiculous reasons. They're saying that you said to a crowd of Christians that they won't have to vote in the future.
Yeah, let me say what did I mean by that. I had a tremendous crowd speaking to Christians. I mean, this was a crowd that liked me a lot. I think I'm at 97% or something. And they're treated very badly by this administration.
His brain is rapidly turning into goo before our very eyes. It's quite a wonder to behold. And he would have been completely protected. You know that little meme of like the soldier protecting the child from the knives? Well, the knives essentially were Joe Biden. But sorry, no. Joe Biden was the soldier. I'm fucking up the meme. Joe Biden was the soldier, and his foibles were protecting the knives, which is Donald Trump's brain and his goo turning to goo in real time. That's what was happening, right? No. Sorry, the goo. My brain is turning into goo because the goo would be the child. I'm gonna make this meme. I'm cooking. All right, you can tell that the gears are turning in real time.
Okay. Catholics are treated unbelievably. They're like persecuted. And if I might say, before I go into the other, Jewish people, if you're Jewish and you vote for Biden or the Democrats or Kamala or whoever's going to run, I guess it's going to be her.
Do you remember what the question is? I do. It was about how you apparently are going to be a dictator. You're going to take away the right to vote. Why are you talking about Jewish people? What's going on here? Like, he's just so far in his own goo, right? Like, it starts out where it's just like, I just want to start by saying we had a tremendous crowd, amazing Christians. They love me. I think I'm 97%. Either way, Catholics, most persecuted people ever. Oh, the Jews, gotta say this. If you're Jewish and you vote Democratic, you're a self-hating Jew. Yep, that's what I gotta say. Does that answer your question? Are we there?
But if you voted for her or the Democrats, you should have your head examined, because nobody's ever been treated so badly by this. This administration is destroying Israel, et cetera, et cetera. So with respect to like a statement like I made, that statement is very simple. I said, vote for me. You're not going to have to do it ever again. It's true. Because we have to get the vote out. Christians are not known as a big...
That's not an answer. What the fuck? I'm going to repeat the thing I said. I'm going to say it again. And there you go. Does that answer you? What? No? What? Yeah, that's scary. It's scary. It's scary that you're saying that. It's scary that you're doubling down on it.
Voting group. They don't vote. And I'm explaining that to them. Anyway, you never vote. This time, vote. I'll straighten out the country. You won't have to vote anymore. I won't need your vote. You can go back to not voting.
You don't have to vote for you because you have 4 years in office.
Look. Christians are known. You know what?
It's, again, very easy right now for him to be like, yes, that's what I meant. I didn't. I'm not implying I'm going to be a dictator. That's not part of this. No, I'm not implying that you will lose the ability to have the democratic process altogether. As I've shown in the past, by the way, that I do want to erode. I have tried to overthrow democracy in the United States. Yeah, I did that. I did that thing. Sorry, what was the question? Something about Jewish people?
Else doesn't vote. Gun owners don't vote.
But just to be clear, what you're saying, though, you're not saying it's being interpreted as you are not.
Again, you're getting your out here. This is the opportunity, you know. Speak to the American people. The soft of softballs are really, really going to pad this. Front load it for you. Here you go, Trump. Silver platter. Enjoy. Have a feast. The trough is ready for you. So you aren't saying you're going to Mussolini, right? Like you're not implying you're gonna. It really sounds like you want a Mussolini. It sounds like you're going full El Duce here, and it's you know, there's some people obviously have concerns just based on the fact that like he was kind of horrifying. So yeah, are you doing the? You're not going to Mussolini, right, Mr. Trump?
Surprised to hear.
No,
by the left as well. They're never going to have another election. He's saying there's not. So
first time I've even heard.
Can you even just respond to that?
I said Christians. I started off by saying, just so you understand. You never vote. Christians do not vote well. They vote in very small percentages. Why? I don't know. Maybe they're disappointed in things that are happening, but for a long time, I say, you don't vote. I'm saying, go out. You must.
Okay, let's, in his own words.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm not Christian.
He definitely says, I'm not Christian. Again, his mind is just melting in real time before our eyes. So I think, like, I don't know if he meant to do that. But the other part, he definitely meant to say. It's very clear. There's no other way. Like, I've seen the defense for this from the right so far has been basically one of two things. It's being misinterpreted, and then they don't have a follow-up to what it actually was supposed to be about, or he's joking. It was a joke. He's just like, he said he's going to be a dictator on day one, or he's like starting to quote Mein Kampf and talking about how, you know, the non-whites are poisoning the blood of the nation and stuff like that. Like, yeah, these are jokes. He's joking. He's like, it's going to be funny if I was a dictator. Wouldn't it be funny if you had a Mussolini?
Vote. November 5th is going to be the most important election in the history of our country. Whether you vote early or not, we should have, by the way, one-day voting. We should have voter ID. We should have proof of citizenship.
This is scarier than the quote because it's very clear that, like, he's given the opportunity here to, like, correct the record and just straight up say, like, I actually do believe in democracy. But instead it's just, like, gibberish.
And we should have paper ballots, okay? That's what we should
Totally
have. But we
agree.
don't have that. But I said to the Christians in the room, thousands of them, I said, typically Christians do not vote. Why it is, I don't know. You're rebellious. Something's going on. Don't worry about the future. You have to vote on November 5th. After that, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. I don't care, because we're going to fix it. The country will be fixed, and we won't even need your vote anymore because, frankly, we will have such love. If you don't want to vote anymore, that's okay. And I think everybody understood it. I didn't know there was any.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it's the constant refrain. I mean, after they have done all the things that we've talked about tonight.
Horrible.
All of the things.
Russia, all the things.
And dump their guy of 52 years. Just dump him to the side. So they do all that, and then they say, well, no, you can't vote for him because he's literally never going to leave office. They're actually still saying that.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable.
But you will leave office after 4 years.
By the way, and I did last time, I kept hearing, he's not going to leave, he's not going to leave. Look, they are the ones that are a threat to democracy. Number one, they had an incompetent man as president, okay? Now they have somebody who's worse. She's sort of incompetent. She's not very smart, but she's very radical. Very radical. She will try and defund the police. She's going to try and defund.
Is she more of an extremist than most
Bernie.
Americans today still understand?
Than Bernie. They say more than Bernie. More than Bernie Sanders.
He endorsed her.
Bernie Sanders is a major lunatic.
I mean, I like, again, I wish. I wish she was further to the left of Bernie Sanders. That would be amazing.
Okay? She's worse than Bernie Sanders. Now, she's trying to come
Radical.
back. She got rid of the laugh. I noticed I haven't seen that
Radical
crazy laugh. But she's
Kamala.
crazy. That laugh, that's the
Laughing,
laugh of a crazy
lying,
person. But I noticed that she's not
lying and
using that
laughing.
laugh anymore. Somebody convinced her, don't laugh. Just don't laugh. Don't laugh under any.
Again, like profoundly weird. Weird. It's just weird. It's weird and strange. Sir, old man, weird old man. What are you talking about? Yeah, her laugh. She laughs very strange. I notice she doesn't do that anymore. Doesn't laugh. Someone told her she changed her laugh.
Circumstances, because
I like laughter, but sometimes
not her laughter.
See, I told you. This is your crowd. This is your own. But yes, it's weird. And like, even Fox News hosts are like, yeah, I mean, laughter it just kind of does imply that you take joy in life. I mean, you know, it's kind of like she smiles. She smiles. Yeah. Why does she smile?
But she claims now she's tough. She's tough on crime. She was a tough prosecutor. Never the borders are.
She was a bad prosecutor. She was a prosecutor of black people. She put thousands and thousands of black people in jail.
Why is he saying it like that? Of black people.
Over marijuana. But when it came to big crime, murders and everything else, she was weak. She would love to go after Trump. You know, she says, oh, Trump, 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 I did nothing wrong. They did a lot wrong, but I did nothing wrong. This was a totally manufactured deal. This was an attack on a political opponent. And she was involved in that with Biden. And so far it's backfired because people know this was an attack on a political opponent. She was a bad prosecutor in San Francisco. She led the cashless bail and all of the different things. She was the first of all of the bad prosecutors that have allowed. You know, if you look at the 25 top cities, they're basically all Democrat. The prosecutors are weak. She was the early, she destroyed, she's a San Francisco liberal.
They're pushing for debates with you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, I think Cautious Lee just did a video on this. I wanted to pull up. I'm just scrolling through his timeline. He's got so many.
Down in flames for them last time, but they think this is they're going to get you. So you've been kind of a little unclear about whether you're going to debate or not. Will you commit tonight to debating Kamala
So I
Harris?
like debating. I like debating. I've done a lot of debates. I've won the debates. I think they say I won the election because of that. I don't mind.
He's a debate pervert.
They were pushing for this early debate.
You lost the election. What?
I said, why do we want to do an early debate? It didn't make sense to me. It turned out I was right, but for the wrong reasons, right? I want to do a debate, but I also can say this. Everybody knows who I am, and now people know who she is. She's a radical left lunatic. She'll destroy our country. She wants open...
You didn't answer the question. It's like, so will you commit to debating Kamala? She's a lunatic. I love debate. I'm the best debater. I can beat anyone. I'm so good.
Then why not debate her?
Well, wait. But because they already know everything. She wants to defund our police. Oh. She wants no bail. She wants no cash. You kill somebody and we're going to release you immediately. They call it cash.
You can't have it both ways. You can't be the strong men. You can't be the masculine men. You can't be the high tea havers and also be so unbelievably soy at the same time. You can't soy all over yourself. It's like, oh, will you debate a woman? Oh, God. People already know. They know she laughs. She laughs. She lies. She laughs.
Cashless. By the way, this has been a horrible thing for our country. This has been what I just said.
Thank you, Philip Schwartz. The K-Hive has momentum. It would be a shame to throw it all away. Yeah, stop doing policies that are to the right of Republicans. It's going to backfire. It doesn't matter how brat your summer is. When you do that shit, it's going to alienate everybody.
We know where she is. She wants high taxes.
We know.
Well, they're going to say you're afraid of debating her. That's what they're going to say.
Well, they said that with Biden, too. You know,
yeah.
I was afraid. I did great with Biden, and I did great in every debate. I've had a lot of debates.
But you're winning on all the issues,
But, you know, I'm leading in the polls by, I think, a lot. I don't know. I hear different numbers. But I'm...
So he's not going to do it. Wow. Damn.
Leading in all of the polls. I'm leading big in all of the swing states. And I say this. The answer is, yes, I'll probably end up debating. I think actually the debate should take place before the votes start being cast. You know, I had a very good second.
That's what they want.
Debate with Biden. I really beat him badly. The problem was 30-40% of the votes were already cast. if you're going to have a debate, you got to do it, I think, before the votes are cast. I think it's very important that you do that.
Omega
So
Star,
the answer is
thanks
yes.
for gifting a tier 1 sub to Daughter of Tiamat 420.
But I can also make a case for not doing it. Also, I don't like rewarding fake news. I don't like rewarding the people that have been, they're going to make tens of millions of dollars with this debate. I don't like ABC. I think it's a terrible, terrible outfit. I don't like that ABC is going to get rich. George Slopadopoulos, as I call him. I don't like it. Such
Even when you think he's gone, he pulls us back in, you know? It's like, he's a husk, he's a shadow of his former self, but there's like, oh yeah, there's little samples in there.
I mean, these are such bad people.
George,
I don't like that ABC is going to get rich.
Slopadopoulos,
I don't like, and I will say something that when CNN did the last one, they were very fair. Jake Tapper was very fair.
Well, maybe just you and her, you and Vice President Harris in a room together with no moderators.
I don't mind that. I don't mind anything. Look, I don't mind. We can do any form of a debate. You know, when they asked me to do the debate,
except the one that you've been offered,
because they were going to offer. They offered me the two heads, the two announcers, whatever you'd call them, the referees, call them whatever you want. But I have to say, they were both very fair. It was CNN. They wanted to sit down.
Hey,
I said, no,
what up, one topic at a time. Everyone go check out twitch.tv/OneTopic and go enjoy One Topic's content.
I want to sit down. You can't sit down. They want to sit down. They offered me everything that I couldn't accept, and I accepted it. I accepted everything. And we had a debate. It was a great debate. It was actually, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have debated so well because if I didn't, you know, that was the end of him. Because from that day on, you could see that he was not.
It's true. It like insofar as that was the start of the rest of the world, especially the big donors, you know, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the heads of the DNC, all that kind of stuff, being like, oh shit, oh yeah, no, this is not going to work. I mean, very uncharacteristic of them to like do the right thing, to actually like, I don't know, try and have a fighting chance at defeating Donald Trump instead of just being like, you know what, I mean, the train has left the station. Let's just pick up our pieces. We're thinking 2028 or something. Hopefully he doesn't do all the dictator stuff he keeps, you know, saying he's going to do. And in this interview, like fucking tripling down on.
Going to be, in my opinion, I said, I don't think he's going to make it anymore. Now I have her. I would rather.
No, I haven't seen it. Everyone won't stop talking about how good it. All right, fine. You know what? We're just going to switch. I have not watched the Trump and his appeal to black voters disaster that everyone is saying is absolutely unreal.
This discussion continues a decades-long tradition during election years of inviting journalists to discuss the policies and their impact with the candidates who are running for president and the impact of those policies, especially in black communities. Former Presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton have attended the NABJ conventions either as presidents or as presidential candidates in past years. NABJ is currently in conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris's team to schedule a Q&A either in person or virtually in September. As journalists, we use opportunities like these both to inform our reporting, but also to help voters understand the choices that they face in a consequential and historic election year. NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact-check this conversation in real time. You can access that feed on social media using the hashtag NABJFactCheck. Again, the hashtag is NABJFactCheck. We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time, so let's bring out the former President of the United States, the Republican nominee.
Okay, hold on. I want to see how many they actually did. Oh, they did a lot of fact checks for this. Holy shit. Oh, wow. He said a lot of things. Okay, well,
for President, former President Donald Trump.
No way, did he pick the gorillas? Was that him?
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think.
That was so awkward. No applause, no nothing. Just like comes into some music, sits down, and then, okay, here we go.
it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
Wow.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a
Yeah, holy shit. Hit him hard. Fucking right out of the gates. Well done. This is journalism. Take notes. Like,
white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner.
oh my God. You know what? We're going to be getting a fucking a second year, like let's say 202 crash course on white fragility. Well, I have never been so wounded. That cut like 1,000 N-words. How could you say such things to me? I just have a feeling he's not going to own it. Yeah, no, I don't feel he's going to self-actualize. I don't think there's going to be growth. I don't think he's going to try and dismantle a lot of his, internalized white supremacy. I don't think that. I think right now he's basically just going to play victim for the next 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever been asked such a horrifying thing. Like, what the fuck?
Question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
Ooh, wow. It's pretty wild. It's like, so by the way, you have said a lot of racist and horrifying things in the past. And basically, if you're appealing to black people at this moment in time, I think it's fair to ask, in what way do you think that they should vote for you? Or have you earned their vote based on your history of racism? You want to pick a fight? You got to fight. We're fighting. Like, no. This is an appeal to black voters. Donald Trump, not go on the attack.
I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done.
Wow. Not good faith, bad faith, terrible faith.
Done so much for the black population of this country. Including employment, including opportunity zones.
I mean, choosing condescension, hell of a way to go.
With Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina.
Okay, trust in chat. Chat, you were right. This is really funny. This is really. And honestly, huge props to that reporter for making this entire thing happen. Like, you need a journalist who's like, you know what? Okay, fine. If we're going to sit across from this fascist piece of shit, this racist fucking testicle, then yes, I'm going to ask him to his face, just plainly, you have done a lot of fucked up shit. How do you think in any way you've earned the black vote? Like, good for you. Good for you. That was fucking awesome.
It's one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money, they were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long...
Sucks to be the one clap. One person clapping.
And nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here.
I mean, I should go to that PolitiFact. I would like to know. PolitiFact. The NABJ convention. Let's see whether or not that is true at all. Was he brought up there under false pretenses?
Invited me under false pretense, and then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour
Can you send that to me, Hero? If the evidence?
late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working, or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love to
Oh man, this is a disaster.
answer the
Very
question
nasty
on your rhetoric
question.
and why
I
you
have
think
answered
black
the
voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Better
That's
than-
my.
Oh, this is so good. It's too good. Yes, please keep going. Go on the attack, sir. Really, really stick it to those black voters you're trying to hurt. Be as condescending as possible.
Better than President Johnson.
Masterful
Voting rights
gambit.
You to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late.
I've done more for you people. I can't believe this is what he thought would work.
Because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile.
You inept people who couldn't even get your equipment. I showed up on time, not like you. Like, what are you doing? Again, so this is, by the way, a lot of what you were seeing kind of similar in Joe Biden's meltdowns too. I was legitimately worried that Joe Biden was just going to start spewing some old-timey slur, like something that I didn't even, that people would have to Google, right? That they would have to go and be like, what the fuck is that word? Oh, yikes, right? Kind of moment. Because again, these are old racists from a different time and era. Joe Biden, extremely racist. Fucking, you know, listen to his speeches that he was giving right before the 1994 crime bill. Everything you can imagine, you know, like these super predators are roving gangs, like fucking Hillary Clinton style stuff. And Donald Trump is the same fucking kind of racist, right? These are the old timey racists. And like, yes, let's make America great again. Let's go back to the good old days. All of a sudden, when like things aren't going his way, he's even remotely questioned on his own racist past. By the way, it's not even like this much of it. Like he's acting just so like, I can't believe this happened. This is the worst thing that ever happened. Like, you were just basically brought, these are your quotes and actions and things you've done, right? Like bring up the Central Park 5, for example. Did you or did you not take out an ad calling for the murder of black teenage boys? That's fucked up. That's so racist. Like, that's altruism to you. You spent your own money being like, I want them executed. Kill them. Kill these teenage black boys. And you're like, that's really fucking racist. To bring that up, I'm sorry, but like that's why I'm like, you're getting a masterclass in white fragility here. Just like when you are questioned about your race, you say, you think that's racist? Oh, I'll show you racist. I'll show all of you people how racist I can be.
I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you?
Holy fuck, she's so intelligent. Like, just witnessing the absolute spectacle before you, I'm not gonna lie, I would have folded. I would just be like, you know, like, enjoy the sound bites. All right, internet, you know what to do. Go to town. Right? I wouldn't be like, I gotta keep this going. How can I possibly stop him from like walking out? Like, the more, the better. It's again, just like providing someone with like the ladder or the noose, as they say, right? Just like they are destroying themselves in real time. He is trying to dig up. So this is like, extend this, keep it going. Yeah. That's like.
You define DEI. Go ahead. How do you define
Diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
literally
definition.
the word.
Oh man, okay, you know what else is just really, really good about this? you are also witnessing how insular all of these weirdos are. And like in their own brains, they don't think they're as fucked up as they are. They've all convinced each other that it's normal to kind of just replace that with the N-word and use it as a derogatory, like in their own way, a slur, right? It's like, yeah, DEI hire, pejorative. And you're like, that normal people don't do this, right? Like they don't walk around and be like, I would never fly in a plane with a black pilot. Like, what? Sorry, that's a super racist thing to not only say but think and then articulate and then feel as if there's not going to be any recourse. That's even weird and racist. What is wrong with all of you? But again, they're so inside their own little bubbles that they're constantly talking and doing these circuits and going on like, hey, one moment I'm on the Lex Fridman podcast, then I'm doing Joe Rogan, now I'm on Tucker Carlson, then I'm going to do InfoWars. Like you're in so much safe space constantly that when you leave that bubble for a little bit, all of a sudden it's like, well, what do you think that word means? Diversity, equity, inclusion? Yeah, that's right. That's the literal definition of what it means. What do you think it means? Because it really feels like you think it's the N-word and you use it like it's the N-word, as if you all got this little cheat code that you're all so proud of, you and all these other white supremacists. Like it's like, haha, yeah, we get the thing back, we can say it. Here's the argument. By the way, I'm gonna make this to all the other people who sometimes like to, you know, the weird white folk who like to play fast and loose with like, oh, but I have the pass because I have black men stuff. It's not that you can't say the word, okay? I'll just be like completely honest. It's that you shouldn't want to. Like that. I'm sorry. That's the whole debate. You should learn about the history behind it, learn about it, see how painful, hurtful, horrifying, disgusting it all was, and then be like, oh yeah. And then, because you have empathy, and we're all human, we're all the same animal, be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah, that sounds rotten, I say. So it's not virtue signaling. It's just I'm like explaining to you the process, which, by the way, this generation of MAGA and the MAGA cult, they're so profoundly, grotesquely weird. You know, I'm glad I started this movement. Again, a Canadian dick joke channel started the It's Weird movement 6 years ago, I'll have you know, okay? I have evidence, I have fact-based stuff. I'm the originator right here. You are at ground zero, okay? So I am the one that started their weird movement. I am. I take credit for this. It's the greatest thing I've ever accomplished on the internet. I single-handedly, a Canadian dick joke artist, is taking down the entire RNC right now. You're welcome, America. Okay, I'm trying to undo all the damage of the Crowders. Okay, of the Lauren Southerns and the Lauren Chens, just the worst Laurens in the world. Okay, the Gavin McInnes as well. Fuck, there's a lot of them. Jordan Peterson. Anyways, yeah, it's okay. I'm providing the antidote to that, to all these weirdos.
Can you give me a definition of that? Give me a definition of that.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to be black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Oh my god. That's the closest I think I've ever done to a spit take. I saved it. I'm okay. I gotta rewind that. What is happening?
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known.
He's like trying to bring back the one drop rule in real time. That's what's happening here. Like, this is so profoundly strange. Again, like, I don't know if the Trump team behind the curtains or at the side right now are like, oh, he's crushing this. Yeah, good job. If they're all little weird groypers who think this is based and fucking awesome and like, oh, this is so funny. Because this is, it's about as disastrous as it gets, you know. Again, and it just shows you the disgusting MAGA. I don't really deal with people who ever push back on me. I'm going to be doing Fox News, then I'm going on Steve Bannon's show, then I'm going to be doing InfoWars, then I'm going to go back, and then Tucker Carlson. So yeah, I'm not really used to pushback.
Is black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't. Because
okay. All right, Whitey. Like, Donald, you don't get to choose that. It's not up to you. Like, oh my God. I'm just saying. I mean,
she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe?
Oh my God, I'm the same color as my shirt. You are tomatoing me, sir. I'm going to Tomato Town. This is too much. Too much. I don't know. She became black out of nowhere. Suddenly now she's black. And this is only made possible if you live in a bubble. No political analysis. Any single person worth their dollar, by the way, who is trying to help you win elections, would have approved any of this. Like, I'm sorry, even right-wing ones, like, if you're a political strategist right now, you are screaming at your TV. You are like, unless you're just some weird racist ass groypers as the Temps who are just sitting there like, yes, the master race shall ascend. Good job. Yeah, talk about how she's not a real black woman more. Like otherwise it's like, what the fuck? Pull him. Get him out of there. Get him out of there now. I don't care. Just make up an excuse. Let him do it with some kind of saving grace, whatever. I don't know, but get him the fuck out. This is bad. Bad. No, they're already not doing good in like demographics, key demographics that I think that they thought were like going to be a lock, right? Like white women, for example. Just because, again, deeply, deeply gross ass shit, mostly coming from the two of them, you know, their own words and actions. And JD Vance is just, he's, again, millennial, so he's got so many podcasts, there's so much clips. It's just like every single day there's going to be a new one, and every day there's going to be one that's worse than the one before it. And it's going to be like, I don't think that women should have the ability to vote if their wombs have not been fertilized by me. And then it's like, yeah, well, okay, turns out talking that way, advocating for that kind of shit, basically being like, I want, you know, to revert to the medieval ages when it comes to women. They should all have to wear chastity belts and accept my fucking godly semen. Like, yes, that is deeply alienating to half the population who are like, that just sounds like every fucking weirdo and freak I've ever heard in my life, but now he wants to be the vice president of the United States. Not a great thing. And then also, younger voters, people of color, black voters, if you are witnessing this happen in real time, you would be doing everything in your power to stop it, you know, but the fact that it's still going on, I mean, again, it can only be explainable by how much they're in their own weirdo sphere, this weirdo fucking echo chamber, you know?
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans have said?
I mean, I really don't know.
By the way, one of the first questions was how you have referred to black reporters in the past by a number of names. You've degraded them, you've dehumanized them, you've referred to them as animals and stuff. And in this same thing, he's doing that stuff that is just default Trump, right? You very nasty, nasty woman, very nasty questions.
Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length, and we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that interview.
Did you just do I Have a Black Friend in real time in 4K? Was that the save? Again, like, if I was watching this and I was part of the Trump campaign, I would just get him out. Get him the fuck out. This can only get worse.
You told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we were divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room, I know.
Oh, is he going to do the black jobs thing again? Is that about to drop?
And I have great respect for. A lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming.
I just I don't think he's got any setting other than plantation owner. You know, and they're like, oh, I gotta dial it down a little bit. Maybe like minstrel show enthusiast, but like
from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is.
There it is. We got there.
Anybody that has a job, that's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black population, is affected most by that. And
he hasn't really figured out how to calibrate his whole white replacement shit for like non-white crowds. He's working on it. You can tell, like, this is a work in, but he's still workshopping a lot of the elements of it. Hasn't completely figured out how to sell it. Like, the pitch is not really there yet, but you can tell that he's like, you know, he's gonna get there eventually. It's just it's unfortunate that he's doing this, you know, bombing so fantastically in a live setting.
Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs, and frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions.
So I got the PolitiFact article. I don't even know where to start on this thing. Like, yes, everything is a lie. Trump said Democrats want to give them votes, referring to migrants crossing illegally into the country. We've rated a similar claim, pants on fire. When Trump made a similar comment in January, his campaign did not provide evidence of the scheme. Only U.S. citizens can vote in federal elections, and proven innocence of non-citizens casting ballots are rare. Oh, by the way, yeah, there's a reason why this exact same shit. You notice it in the Elon Musk interview. Again, that when he's interviewed by Don Lemon, he thought he was in the weird safe space. They all think that they're in the weird safe space all the time. And then it's not until they leave the weird safe space that the rest of the world, and they learn how profoundly weird their ideas and beliefs are. And so that's why you get things like Elon Musk will go there and then be like, well, I just think that like illegals are coming in and they're replacing you know, voters, and it's being done by the Democratic Party to replace Western values. And it's like, that does sound like, you know, almost beat for beat the whole racist, you know, white supremacist great replacement conspiracy theory. That's what it sounds like what you just did there. It's like, yeah, but I mean, it's true that they are coming in and they essentially are replacing, you know, the voters and Western values and stuff like that. And it's like, but they can't vote. That's like such a key part of this, you know? Like, this whole thing hinges on that they're being replaced, but they can't vote. Like, asylum seekers, refugees, illegal immigrants to the United States don't have voting rights. They're not citizens. That's kind of the whole point, right? Kind of in there. Yeah, true, but one day, who knows? I just don't want it to happen. I don't even know if I'm anywhere close to the beginning. Oh, here we are. Trump said, coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. When ABC News' Rachel Scott asked what he meant by black jobs, a phrase he's used in the June 27th debate with President Joe Biden, he responded, a black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is, anybody that has it. The notion that migrants are taking jobs from black Americans is unsupported. Commonly used employment data does not include information specific enough to confirm or deny the pattern, but broader economic statistics cast doubt on the assertion. Foreign-born workers, many of whom are U.S. citizens and legal immigrants, not recent migrants, have made unusually fast employment gains during Biden's tenure, but native-born workers, including black workers, have made gains as well. The category foreign-born workers in federal statistics counts anyone who was born in a foreign country. Since Biden took office in early 2021, the number of foreign-born Americans who are employed has risen by about 5.6 million, but over that same period, the number of native-born Americans has increased by almost 7.4 million. If foreign-born workers were eating into black workers' opportunities, it would show up as unemployment rates, but the unemployment rate for black Americans is low by historical standards. It hit a record low under Biden, although it has risen a bit since then. Also, the unemployment rate for native-born workers overall under Biden is comparable to what it was during the first 2 pandemic years of Trump's presidency.
And they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
True.
It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that burst.
It's true.
And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms, when you look statistically.
Yeah.
How do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money?
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, this woman was unable to
Completely unprovoked.
the right equipment, but it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually.
You could also just be old. It could be that.
But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation.
What is the cost of money? I'm just curious.
Is a disaster, and it's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much or more than any.
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls, and then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, let's keep going.
First time on your channel, but this is crazy funny. Hey, I'm glad you're having fun, because holy shit, I did not, just an absolute gift. Mwah. Thank you so much. I did not know that this was going to take place. And honestly, just be an utter and complete disaster. Start to finish. It somehow keeps getting worse. I'm baffled by that. It just keeps on getting worse and worse. Unprovoked. It's like, hey, by the way, black people are really suffering. How are you going to help them? Well, let me start by saying terrible equipment. I can't hear a word you're saying. Yeah, I guess I'll make do. Yeah, I'll try.
Maybe something happens the other way. They said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing well. You say, let's bring in another fighter. So our whole campaign was steered toward him.
The question was, how are you going to help black families and the amount of debt that they're having trying to afford basic living expenses? Well, yes, and to answer your question, let me boast about how incredible my debate skills are. So powerful I am. You know, some have called me the Muhammad Ali of words, and so I basically knocked my opponent out. He's not going to be around, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm pretty badass, right?
And now we have to steer it to her. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of...
Like I said, he hasn't figured out the whole how to do the great replacement shit to non-white audiences yet. He's still working. He's working through it. You can tell him trying to tweak it and be like, I don't know if this part resonates as well with people who aren't white.
Efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're
Mr.
doing
President.
is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years. And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58. Whatever it may be, they don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers.
Boom. Thank you. Thanks for welcoming me into your wonderful community. We appreciate you and your hard work. And also thank you to Marty C59 for the gifted sub. Very, very kind of you.
You can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr. President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is also impacting black Americans?
and that's very clear now. Good.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Oh, you're still fucking bitching about the sound. Shut the fuck up, old man.
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay. So Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You said police would get immunity for prosecution if you win. Why should...
I can't imagine in any world in which Trump can answer this question in anything other than horrifying. Like, there's no, like, if you look at the dialogue tree and the options before you, you know, there's just nothing he's going to do.
Someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police... police...
Fuck you. Like, you can't be like, don't really know what that's about, but yeah, it looked not great, not good.
Unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again, why would...
They're going to be charging the officer. I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases.
What a coward. Basically, you know, Trump's pledge to give police officers federal immunity from, you know, basically committing crimes. I suppose he just wants to extend his God powers to his future potential army if he wants to do an entire, you know, fascist dictator takeover. I mean, this is pretty much him laying the plan out. But if you're questioned about that and then you're asked, it's like, hey, by the way, like if you give police officers complete federal immunity, and even the police unions don't agree with what took place. I mean, it's very obvious that this was just straight up cold-blooded murder of a terrified individual who had called the police for help, and it's absolutely disgusting and sad how often it happens to black people in America, how often it happens to indigenous people in Canada. The same problem happens here for wellness checks from the RCMP. They show up and it's like, hey, we're just here to check up on someone's mental health, and we don't really have the training or understanding on how to deal with people who have mental health issues, and it can result in death.
And that we need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police.
he doesn't know how to do this. he can't even pretend to answer or show empathy towards black folk. He's basically just like, well, what about the very high rates of death and murder in Chicago? No one wants that, right? What's going on there?
Officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So, can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question?
Like, when I see a commercial for a new fucking Dorito-flavored Taco Bell shell crust, I don't like it. It's not how I would respond to, again, watching state violence and the horrifying murder of a innocent black woman by a police officer. It was like, it's not something where you just say, yeah, I'm not sure, don't really care for it.
But make those
well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
you
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous, and they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing, because
the policeman's life and woman.
Sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil.
Yeah, he's incapable of showing empathy or just not boasting about his own fucking himself. He's incapable of just not constantly centering things around himself or showing empathy towards anyone.
Standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up really quickly. I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case.
More bragging.
And I just
More
won
boasting.
it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't, because he wasn't president at the time. And he had 50 years worth of documents. And they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial. And yet...
Yeah, again, he's got two settings, It's either incapable of understanding or showing empathy, or bragging and boasting.
He can be president. Isn't that nice?
Mr. President,
but they released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said...
Was I wrong? Yeah, he wasn't president at the time when he got his Mar-a-Lago home raided by the FBI, because they had asked him nicely prior to that just to give the documents back. And he was like, no, they're my decorative documents for the toilet.
He had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and so, therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We cover you extensively, sir. I'd love to move over on
I didn't notice
George Slapadap.
you do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one where
Sir,
I have a hostile judge.
Yeah, he's not going to answer a single question. Again, like every single time he's asked, he's like, well, I don't know if you know this, but I'm the greatest.
We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
No,
topics.
excuse you,
if we
you're the
can.
one that held me up at 35 minutes, just so you understand.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator JD Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past.
You can also really see, by the way, just like the incredible patience of black women when dealing with racist white dudes, and all of the stereotypes that are going to be conjured up if she responds in any other way than just calm, collected. It's going to be immediately. And listen to the way Trump is speaking in the opposite direction. Name calling, complaining, whining the whole time about the sound, the lateness, how mean they are, saying they're very nasty women, all this kind of shit, just like fucking blah, all the shit that he can get away with.
He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children. Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate? And do you agree?
Just like everything I wish journalists had been asking this whole time. Wow.
No, I know this. He is very family oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people.
Yeah, he just thinks you shouldn't have a right to vote. He said that out loud, that you shouldn't have a right to vote. And that includes men, by the way. Men, if you don't have the premium semen, all right, if you're not able of being able to impregnate women, then unfortunately, you too will have your voting rights taken away by a future JD Vance couch fucking regime. It's not to be taken lightly.
People with great families. I know people with very troubled families, and I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here. He also says that people that don't have children should get less votes than those that do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your
and I think
position?
I'm speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay?
Okay, so I was just like, I wonder what's new in the Kamala HQ account. And every day there's a new JD Vance has been doing some other right-wing circuit, and there's a horrifying statement about fucking people who can't have kids.
The best way to invest in it is to ensure the next generation actually exists. So I think sending those signals via policy, but the cultural messaging of politicians is important. I also think, just to be a little stark about this, I think we have to go to war against the anti-child ideology that exists in our country. A few weeks ago, no, Twitter is not real life, but I forget even what caused it, but there was this ridiculous effort by millennial feminist writers to talk about why having kids was not a good thing, why they were glad they didn't have kids, and even encouraging people who had children to talk about why they regretted having children, which of course is like
Mother's Day hook.
on Mother's Day, which is like psychologically deranged to ask mothers on Mother's Day to talk about why they regretted having children. And what it made me realize is that so much of what drives elite culture is mediocre millennial journalists who haven't gotten out of their career what they thought they would, right? And the thing is, everybody can be an exceptional mother and father. Not everybody can be an exceptional journalist at the New York Times. And not enough people have accepted that if they put their entire life's meaning into their credential, into where they went to school, into what kind of job they have, if you put all of your life's meaning into that, you're going to be the sort of person who asks women to talk about how they regret having children. You're going to be a sad, lonely, pathetic person, and you're going to know it internally, so you're going to project it onto people who have actually built something more meaningful with their lives. I think we have to go to war against that ideology and the people behind it, because we need to say to the people in my hometown, I've seen this with, just to be honest, with my sister. I love my sister is just the best person. I love her to death. And sometimes, she'll say things to me like, maybe I should have delayed having kids. Maybe I should have went to school. Maybe I should have did this or that. And it's like, Lindsay, you've been a great mom. Your children are happy. They're healthy.
You've fulfilled your duty. Yes, your one use in this world as a woman.
Good care of them. You've shown me, she was my older sister. She took care of me a lot in a very chaotic home. People like my sister should not feel like the cultural messaging is your life is inadequate. The people who are sending that message should feel that their life is inadequate. And of course they do. They're just too ashamed about it to talk about it. The best way
in terms of JD Vance's, that one's not as bad, in like 0 to grums. You could probably put that around, he's getting close to Tristan Tate.
He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family oriented, but that doesn't mean if you don't have a family there's something wrong with it.
Just one last.
No, that's actually exactly what he said. He doesn't want you to. He wants you to be a second-class citizen. He says that you should not have voting rights. Your voting rights should be taken away from you if you have not had kids. Only people with kids should be allowed to vote. That's profoundly weird and fucked up. And again, no one's on the other end of like, hey, by the way, like that the left is trying to destroy families and make sure no one ever breeds again. They want infertility to spread. That's what the true woke mind virus. No, it's that it's very difficult to have children. We should acknowledge that. It's very expensive to have kids. We should acknowledge that. So we should provide more resources so people can have children, you know, not decide if it's going to bankrupt you just to give birth itself in a hospital. Like in a lot of states, that's what, between $5,000 and $10,000. In New York, it's like $20,000. Yeah, that could bankrupt someone. So it's like, do I give birth dangerously at home or do I go to a hospital and go bankrupt? Maybe people shouldn't have to pay out of pocket when they go into the hospital to give birth. There's ways to do that. If you cross an imaginary line from the US and then go into Canada, suddenly that's not a thing anymore. Yeah, you can just give birth in a hospital and you don't pay anything out of pocket. I have many friends who have. They had wonderful experiences. Nothing but good things to say about the staff, the doctors and the nurses. So yeah, it is possible.
Point, and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote. Senator JD Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, the breeding fetishists are more concerned for the lack of workers. It's both. I think it's sometimes they basically want to have, they think of humans as like drone ants or like a hive or something, and they want the worker bees to make sure that they are plentiful for them. But also racists who really, they're kind of coding, you know, the whole thing where it's like, yeah, we need to have more children with Western values who speak the language and are of a certain melanin count. Like that's basically too what they're getting at, right? When they say they want babies, they want white babies. They want more white babies, lots of white babies.
No, but it's not something I have ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now you have illegal aliens coming into our country, many from prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes. They came into our country illegally, and they're taking the vote away from all of the people in this room that have been here.
Oh, you just got PolitiFact in real time. It's true. It's true. Illegal immigrants can't vote in elections. It's this whole thing, this conspiracy, it's made up. Yes, it has its roots in the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which is a deeply anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, you know, saying that, you know, rich Jewish elites are basically trying to change demographics by flooding Europe with a whole bunch of Muslims who are then going to be voting with their interests in mind as part of this, cabal of like blah, 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 blah. It goes down this fucking racist ass rabbit hole. But it's found its way into just like mainstream discourse. Now it's a lot more palatable when it's replacing voters. Yes, the immigrants, the illegal immigrants that the Democrats are bringing in to vote for them. I mean, the reality is that like this so-called white genocide, in terms of if you actually think that race is real, right? Yes, the world is becoming more diverse. Yes, a lot of countries that are based very primarily on getting huge amounts of immigration are becoming more diverse. The whole white superior race shit has failed. It's been an abject disaster. You know, Hitler's dead. He shot himself in the head. He's gone. And, the Nazis lost. And so like the whole idea of the superior race, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately for y'all, like the next generation, you're so cooked. You're so unbelievably cooked. Like, have you seen Gen Zers? Have you seen them hanging out? They're all fucking diverse. They have the most beautiful pronouns, infinite genders, all this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, just like that's just the reality of the world we live in. Is that black people and white people are friendsies, and they enjoy hanging out, and everyone's having a great time, and then they also have kids, and then they also have sex, and then there's multiracial kids, and like again, the project failed. The whole thing failed. You're trying to hearken to an old age, make America great again, make America racist again.
A long time that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it happening. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening a long time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that Vice President question.
Even the Fox News host isn't helping him out at this point.
Candidate question was right in there with that. So let's talk about.
Did you see him? He can't help himself.
JD Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose JD Vance?
Why
did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing too. I know everybody out there can, but it's hard
I'll tell you why. I chose
hear
him
all of you
because
fine.
he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman,
Work
and
will set you
especially the
free.
working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. You have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy without the benefit of...
I can just hear Donald Trump Jr.'s coked out fucking sales pitch being regurgitated right now. Oh, hillbilly, the libs won't know what to do.
having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. You take a look at his career has been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult, with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School and was one of the top students, became the head of the Law Journal. It's an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was in the military with great distinction for 4 years. Got out, went into business, became...
Have you seen his Stanley Kubrick looking fucking photo? Like, once you see it, it cannot be unseen.
Successful in business, very successful in business, actually. Did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family, but he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator. So Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people for their success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was...
By the way, that's so condescending and fucking, like, paternalistic to be like, it came from a very hard upbringing, bad family, lots of poverty, like you people. So I respect how he came out of it, rose the ranks, like a lot of people in this room.
We've been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And 2 days after that...
I cannot understand your microphone.
I know, it is really hard for me to understand.
I can understand you perfectly.
Closer.
I can understand you. But I can't...
Even the Fox News hosts are roasting him. Amazing.
I understand, Harris.
I have a few more questions.
Because of the distance, and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand
Are you asking a question?
what you're saying.
So what I wanted to say was the last time...
Is there any first-hand accounts of people who were there? Because in terms of watching this on broadcast, they all sound fine. It sounds like a perfectly normal broadcast. I'm not experiencing any leftist audio.
We spoke, you said some words that were prophetic because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yeah.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would bring, you choose somebody that you think has a future, that sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris. And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at JD Vance, is he...
That's a profoundly weird thing now, knowing what we know about JD Vance, the womb wizard, the man who wants to cast a spell. I will infertilize the planet.
Ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him. And for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented, historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be.
Well, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that apparently the vice president, Kamala Harris, is a border czar, that she is this horrifying border czar. She was just destroyed the border and done more to ruin and allow more illegal immigrants into the country than ever before. And at the same time, it's purely ceremonial. The vice president doesn't do anything. Yeah, you don't have to worry about him. That's not a great thing. That's not a good sales pitch to the questions of how profoundly fucked up and weird your vice presidential pick is. And again, like, the best possible thing he has going for him is a fake rumor that he fucks couches. That's the most wholesome thing, and it's not true. Everything else is just bizarre and gross, and why are you looking up women being sexually assaulted by dolphins and posting that on Maine, and why are you investing in companies that burn off monkey testicles, and like all the real shit, not to mention the endless fucking deluge of like, I want to fucking install apps that monitor your menstrual cycles. I want to make sure that all your menstrual cycles are completely like tracked and monitored. You cannot leave the state. You can't go from a red state to a blue state to get an abortion. I will stop you. I control your wombs. Like, yeah, he's profoundly sick. And Trump's basically like, you don't have to worry too much because like the vice president doesn't really have that much power. They don't do a lot of stuff. It's just going to be me. I know it's not ideal. It's not ideal that he's the monkey testicle guy.
Then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political
Quite
reasons.
85. Thank you so much for subscribing.
The choice of a vice president makes no difference.
And the Thinking Sabercat, thank you. He's always respected JD Vance.
You're voting for the president, and you can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been. But you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me, I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my JD Vance question in.
JD Vance?
I'm going to get my JD Vance question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think,
that's not like, it's true. It's just a matter of fact. He is divorced. Like,
my point
at least
is here.
It was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about?
Yeah, he's divorced multiple times. It's just a matter of fact.
JD Vance is saying.
I don't think. Look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on the governor of Virginia. Based on the governor of
fucking hell. Amazing. These journalists, the first people to actually just say this shit out loud. Everyone else just sits there and they're like, well, we're going to wait until PolitiFact goes over this to find out whether or not what you're saying is accurate or true. No, you are describing murder. That's murder. You're describing murder. The fact that they keep saying this weird ass Tim Pool shit, the baby guillotines. It's like, oh yeah, the Democrats are advocating for basically abortion after birth. It's like, no, you just described murder. That's murder. No, you can't do that. That's illegal everywhere in the United States.
Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after
the death of the baby. Like, yes, just say it out loud. Yeah, no, that's illegal in every state.
Born, they're allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well, Democrats have denied.
I think they're right, and I think the Republican Party is actually much less. I think that made them much less radical, perhaps. But the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it. Everybody
But the majority of Americans oppose Roe v. Wade being overturned.
They don't know about this. Right now, they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now, I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think most people.
It's also such a profoundly fucked up thing for men to do that, where it's just like, okay, you can have a little autonomy as a treat if you were sexually violated. Yes, if you were sexually violated and it happens to be like one of your relatives, then I guess, yeah, it's not really your fault. Okay, you can have a little autonomy. I guess so. Many scholars didn't want Roe v. Wade overturned. Polling shows Roe's supports outpaced his support for dismantling. Trump defended his position on abortion and said appointing of 3 U.S. Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe v. Wade brought the issue back to the states where everyone wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. False. Roe v. Wade was a contentious legal issue that inspired legions of supporters and opponents. Before the ruling to overturn it came down in June 2022, numerous legal scholars wrote briefs urging the Supreme Court to uphold Roe. Some legal scholars who favor abortion rights have criticized the 1973 ruling's legal underpinnings, saying that different constitutional arguments based on equal protection would have provided a stronger case. But legal experts, including those who held this view, say the scholars would not have advocated for overturning Roe on this basis. Polling since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2022 shows support for Roe has outpaced support for dismantling it, says PolitiFact.
Do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing, out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting. And it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on. And they're voting. And many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Most people believe in the 3 exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions. But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby. That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I
What are you talking about? Just, yeah, every single day. Just happening all the time. Just the execution of the babies. It's just this thing, you know, where like women in the 9th month, right, when they're about to give birth, when they're due at any moment, it's kind of just like, yeah, at that point in time, you're like, I'm not really into this. It's just I'm not feeling it. It's not a vibe. Okay, I'm just going to have a vibe check. And yeah, I think we're going to have to get that, you know, late term abortion. Yeah. And actually, you know what? I'm going to wait until I've given birth, then abort it right afterwards. That's how it's done.
just pivot really quickly
I'm a Democrat.
to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president.
I also love that he's got, like, maybe she was right, you know, of all the weird things that Donald Trump believes, his battery theory, it seems to be kind of, well, I guess now it's not working out as much. He is melting in real time. But before, I mean, the guy, for all intents and purposes, if your mainstay, your diet consists just of fast food, burgers and McDonald's and Taco Bell and KFC, and that's all you eat, and that you don't exercise because you feel that you have a limited and finite amount of energy, again, this is contrary to all our understanding of how animals actually exist. But, you know, you do you, and go forth and prosper. But I mean, he is still 79 and he's doing and running for the most stressful job in the world. So, you know, something's not math in here.
At 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot.
Man, I love how the audience is just laughing at him, ripping into him. Fucking, oh, amazing.
But most people,
would you consider?
Most people, I know many people in their 80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would make
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh, my goodness.
You're so fragile. Oh, my God. I can't believe it. Can't believe how cruel they were to me again. It cuts me like 1,000 N-words. You'll never truly know the pain. You'll never know how much I suffered.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement.
Yeah, Yes! Thank you! She was doing journalism! Oh man, it was so refreshing to finally fucking see. Everyone else, you are cowards. When you sit across this fucking rapist, fascist piece of shit, when you're facing him face to face, you have an opportunity to use his own words against him, but none of them do. And they just sit there while he just like rambles on with complete gibberish. Like, I asked you about the statement that you had made specifically, that you said in 4 years people will never have to vote again. What did you mean by that, sir? What did you mean by all the like invocation of Mein Kampf, talking about poisoning the blood of the nation, all that kind of shit? What did you mean by that? You said a lot of racist ass shit. What did you mean when you said this racist sentence, by the way? And then like immediately just like, so mean, so nasty. Can't believe I'm being attacked. Can't believe you're saying so many lies. The fake news, fake news. It's like, these are your literal quotes. I'm quoting you. I'm saying the words that you have said out loud to you. Thank you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for doing this.
Actually, you said you would.
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If
to
I
step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
Well, can I just...
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
I would like to have people running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something passed where you can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last...
Sorry, what is he talking about that? Where's he getting at?
2 years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment.
Wait, we're so in the weeds now. Like, we're so far away from where everyone started, sir.
Moment in the history of our country. What he has done to our country, and her too, what they've done to our country. She has been a horrible vice president. She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive?
Yeah, again, like, that's just not true. I will tell you what is true, though. Facts, over the feelings, is that JD Vance is polling historically low right now. I believe the lowest polling and the lowest liked vice presidential candidate in history. He's in the negative. He's like, last I saw it was like -9. And then yesterday it was like -16. -16. Well, yeah, being a career weirdo will do that, you know? Just like a lifelong career of going on all of these gross ass podcasts, all the sickest and most disgusting podcasts, and then one after the other just being like, hey, I just want to tell you about how women who haven't given birth should be second-class citizens. I should be able to control their wombs. I should be able to prevent you from leaving to get an abortion anywhere in the United States. Also, I want to use technology, say like an app to track your menstrual cycles so you can't lie about when you're not fertile, because when you are fertile, you must be inseminated. So say it, JD Vance. Anyone got a couch? Like, this is just obviously a disaster. They didn't think it was going to be this bad. I knew it. I knew when JD Vance got picked, I was like, fuck, that's a really weak pick. This could be beatable if only Joe wasn't at the front of the ticket, because it's going to be too distracting. We'll never be able to just sit down and sort out, the couch fucking from the dolphin sexual assault porn, the monkey testicle burning, right, from the hillbilly elegy page. We'll never be able to do that and have fun with it if we're just constantly sad and focusing on this old genocidal freak is just melting before our eyes kind of thing. So things did work out, I gotta say.
Mr.
President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it.
it public.
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to...
I suggested, Harris, that let's
also,
take...
like, his conflation here of like a cognitive exam versus like an aptitude test. Like, didn't he do this thing where it was like he posted a picture of it? Wasn't it like identify the elephant or something? It was like the things that like a 3-year-old would have to answer. Maybe it's more advanced than that. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm very low IQ. Okay, I can't really computate these complex topics. But like I don't remember. I remember it being comically funny. Like identify the whale or some shit like that. Okay, I'm looking it up. Trump's cognitive test. That's amazing. copy cube. Begin. Draw clock. 10 past 11. 3 points. Naming. I aced it. Can we? Did he post his drawing of the cube? Because I see so many, but I don't know if these are real. Curiosity about Trump's Mace Q. Like, I think this is fake. You know what? Much like the couch fucking, until he basically, until he denies it, I'm gonna believe this to be real. I'm just gonna live in that reality. We can manifest our own reality. I'm gonna choose to live in this reality. He scribbled out some of the fucking things. Oh my god. I aced it too.
I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't.
Wait, sorry. Did he accidentally say Jill instead of Joe, but then do a quick recovery? See, that's the difference between him and Joe. He can do the recoveries. He's doing the fuck ups, but he can do the recoveries.
Mr. Don't mean to interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test?
Mr. President,
I would love to
and
do
make
it.
it public.
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to?
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too.
Yeah, okay, no.
He
didn't fuck up there. That's on me. Hey, everyone check out Dark Native's channel. Good to see you, friend. That's the Montreal Standard. I had to take it for research. Interesting. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look like, you know, this advanced exam that Trump keeps boasting about how he aced. It's a draw cube. Draw clock.
With her also. You know what? She failed her law exam.
Animals.
She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President,
Are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
To be clear, you don't think Harris?
how do you intend
She didn't pass her bar exam.
He's saying she's stupid. It's what he's saying. That she's stupid. She didn't pass. Like, do you have any idea how difficult the bar exam is? Oh my god, you clown! Like the LSAT alone, right? Like fucking. I know a thing or two about tests. Took a very complex test.
And she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it.
She did pass it.
There's a man over there. I think he must work.
Mr. President, I would love to ask you about January 6th.
Man, just pulling up all the racist tropes about black women too at the same time. Vice President Kamala Harris passed her bar exam, but not on the first try. After being asked whether she would take a cognitive test, Trump said Harris didn't pass her bar exam, and that she didn't think she would pass it. He said she didn't think she was ever going to pass it. Harris didn't pass her bar exam the first time, according to a 2016 New York Times profile. When she retook it, she passed and admitted to the California State Bar in June 1990. Harris graduated from the University of California College in Law in San Francisco, formerly the University of California, in 1989. Harris served as the 32nd Attorney General of California from 2011 to 2017. She has faced no disciplinary actions, according to California State Bar records.
You've called yourself the candidate of law and order.
Yeah.
Remember when Destiny thought the bar exam wasn't hard and started studying it? No, he didn't start studying for it. He did a mock version of it on stream, and obviously, yeah, it completely bombed, because in the same way I would. But I also wouldn't posture that taking the LSAT is easy. I've had a lot of friends who are just like the kind of people who can spend hours at the library studying, and then there's other people who just have like minds and brains that are just kind of like, you know, almost designed from you know their very being to be able to do those kind of exams. I've seen people who have aced it with very little work. I have seen people who have spent more than multiple years of their life just dedicating everything when they're not working their day jobs. Like basically when they get off from a restaurant, go home, study for the exam, every single day. They didn't come out, they weren't being social, they weren't partying, their lives just revolved around the fucking LSAT, and still struggled. They took it over and over and over and struggled time after time, because there's just like, it's fucking hard. It's a lot of questions. You don't have a lot of time per question. I think it's like, you know, less than a couple minutes per, and you gotta answer as many as you fucking can, so you gotta get through it. And yeah, they can be very, very difficult, and like just to discount the difficulty of it because you want to rip into her intelligence, right? Like, oh yeah, she didn't pass the bar exam. Well, I mean, she got into a good law school. She graduated from a good law school. She then, yes, didn't pass it her first time, but then passed the bar exam. All things which, I'll be honest, I couldn't do. Just like the amount of time and effort. It's not maybe it's certainly not at this stage. You know, my brain is also trained to goo. I'm sorry, we are all gooifying in real time before your eyes. But yeah, it's one hell of an accomplishment. It's just such a weird dig to be like, yeah, she's stupid. I don't think she could pass a cognitive test, not the likes of which I have had to perform. Could she draw a cube? A clock? Would she identify all three animals correctly? I think not.
Time magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters. You said, yes, absolutely. Sure. You called them patriots.
Sure.
140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs.
Man, good question after good question after good question. Beautiful stuff.
2 smashed spinal discs. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers,
in Canada, bar exams can be like 6 hours long. I only know as a proctored one. Oh, interesting.
Including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially in the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the people that tried to
My question is on those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. They were. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis? How come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the people that... But sir,
we're talking about people that were seen beating officers with flagpoles, dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that video, sir?
Oh, really? Well, they
you would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting.
By the way, again, like the very, very striking good example of white supremacy in action here, right? The entire different set of standards for 2 different conflicts. Obviously, he's trying to refer to people who were protesting during Black Lives Matter. But like, it's one of those things where as much as you heard from the racist right about how like, you know, there was riots and blah, blah, there were looting in certain locations, but the overwhelming majority of all the Black Lives Matter protests, and we're talking millions and millions of people, not only in America, but like across the world, but the stats are for America. The FBI released that they were overwhelmingly peaceful, right? I believe over like 93% of all the events were peaceful, were nonviolent, did not include that. Of course, the media is going to focus on the fire because it's the shiny thing and it's what we all look at, and then we're just like, oh, woo, the flames, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, yeah, things seem like they're completely out of control. Yeah, you might be inspiring a Kyle Rittenhouse or two to kind of take matters into his own hands, you know, because this is kind of scary to me, these images of all of these certain kinds of people smashing these buildings and running into these buildings and taking televisions from good old you know, mom and pop Walmarts and Targets. Yep, that's very scary to me. It's really igniting a lot of those really scary things that I've been kind of, you know, programmed with my entire life. I'm getting really worried now. Better go take a gun, better go grab a gun and shoot those people because they're, you know, like that kind of shit. He's still in that mode, right? Like even right now, it's like, hey, by the way, January 6th, you had people who were trying to overthrow the government and hang the vice president of the United States. That's what was taking place there. They were doing a coup. You basically turned all your supporters into Spider-Men, right? They all felt like for one day and one day only that they all leveled up and they'd be able to scale buildings. All those MAGA people, Donkey Kong falling assholes all over the place. Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, one of the most ridiculous coups in, I think, human history. Absurd to be mocked until the end of time. But that notwithstanding, yeah, there's certainly a difference in which they were treated for, again, trying to do an insurrection, trying to overthrow the government of the United States, and people who are protesting against systemic police violence. You realize those are 2 completely different things. There was a lot of people who got arrested during the Black Lives Matter protests. There's thousands of people got arrested during the Black Lives Matter protests. There was, under your tenure, you were overseeing fucking police officers who were doing unidentified, just grabbing and bagging of individuals where they didn't have any markings. They were just being thrown into vans and shit like that. Horrifying shit. The kind of stuff that, again, is hearkening to fascist dictatorships where, you know, there's no accountability for state-sanctioned violence. That's very horrifying. But to him, you know, fine people on both sides.
Got her the vest. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died.
Wait, didn't a woman get shot? Dead? Didn't a woman die? I know people died after the fact from heart attacks and stuff like that, but didn't a woman die that day?
But people died in Minneapolis. You know, people died in Minneapolis, and nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance, and I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know.
And by the way, you can see, right, like, because he's old, he can't stop some of the programming. Like now, right at this moment, he's starting to revert to now you, right? It's changing. It's like, oh, yeah, you were so nice to them, but you weren't nice, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, sorry, no, I'm not a criminal prosecutor, journalist, actually. Yeah, I don't have anything to do with any of that. I was not there. Why you were like, ooh, this is neat.
But what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in, go in, go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life, but you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C., they were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying. They were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them. And you can't have two systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that.
It's true. And I'm sorry, but for people who are not white and who are watching this, you just don't understand how, again, old, straight, cis, white men, just they're having a real rough time right now, and no one is more persecuted than them. And you know, this whole separate system of justice, you know, just it ain't what it used to be. You know, they gave it a name, didn't they? White collar crime. Ah, yes, and then we even get our own separate little prisons that are more like resorts. It's, you know, fantastic.
And we're going to win our cases, and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that, and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because they
wow, this is interesting. Someone's saying I'm a Trump fan, but this is funny. Trump's sadly not as sharp as he used to be. Uh-oh. If Trump fans are saying that, ooh, that's not good.
Hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent.
The thing is, he's perverted MAGA and the right into such a grotesque beast at this point, too, that, like, I don't know where they go from here. I don't know what the post-Trump Vance, Republican and right in America look like. It's going to be fractured into so many different groups. Because, like, right now, you're getting the QAnon anti-vax kind of crowd coalescing around MAGA, but you're also alienating more of the rhinos and the kind of, like, you know, the libertarians and women, half the population too, from all of the, like, we must control your wombs are ours for us to impregnate, we must know when you are fertile so we can impregnate. Like, yeah, it's just not working out, not doing great for numbers, all that kind of shit. So yeah, I just, like, I don't know what's next. I don't know what's next on the menu.
That's never happened in our country before, and it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down, so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich.
Bacon's back on the menu, boys. What do you poors like to eat? Bacon, ham? Yeah, you'll eat all the ham, you poors. I'll give you all the ham you can handle.
Again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%, right? She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
President, I think we are.
But it's true. Your
One of the
grocery
good ones.
bills are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car. Okay?
It's so funny that like he bent the knee as Trump predicted, by the way. He said he would come groveling and slurping, and he did, and he still shits all over his face. There's no running from it. He's still gonna constantly do this shit. Yep, he's a good friend of mine, but I'm going to destroy his entire industry. No more Teslas. Nope, no more. Right, we're gonna drill, baby, drill. Who just rated us? KF Logan, 1875. Welcome in, Raiders. Good to see all of you. I don't know if you were watching this, Kevin, but this is just absolutely sensational. Well, definitely the funniest fucking 30 minutes of the week by far. Trump absolutely disastrously just going on the attack when speaking to black Americans and being condescending and being racist and being like paternalistic, fucking trying to mansplain. Like, he's just all over the place here. He's only got one mode and he doesn't know. Like, it's either I brag and I boast, or I just basically show no empathy to anyone that's not me. So like, what's the dialogue tree gonna be every single time? It's just like, yeah, he's gonna start making fun of it. Yeah, he's gonna be like, terrible microphones, bad equipment, he was so late, everyone here was so late, terrible people, very nasty woman, nasty questions.
I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car.
Hybrid. I love it. Oh man, it's so great not having to sit here and be like, it doesn't matter what weird things Trump said today. Yeah, I know it's very funny. Silence of the Lamb, Hannibal Lecter, great guy, thinks he's a historical figure, because Biden just said a much worse thing, profoundly, and he's the active president. He can't be calling his allies his enemies. He can't introduce Zelensky as President Putin. That's so bad. It's like, but now that's gone. Now that doesn't matter anymore. I am so unburdened by what has been, and now I get to enjoy the popcorn that is Trump and his brain goo as it just slithers out of his fucking ears, Rudy Giuliani style, before our eyes. I kind of want a hybrid too. It sounds awesome. Quite 185. Thanks for gifting a tier 1 sub to Rohack. Really appreciate that. On the Ryland, thanks for also gifting up a tier 1 sub. And then can everyone go to twitch.tv/KFLogan1875. Give KF Logan a follow back. Welcome in.
But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country.
More than Venezuela.
I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs. And I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much.
Oh, was the Trump team like, you're bad at this. You're very bad at this. You should have done that from the jump. Like the first question that he got asked, when you saw him and you saw how he was just gonna go real racist with it all, that's when you're like, whatever it is, just get him out of there. Get him out of there. No. That is no. He is not good at this. He does not know. Does not know how to, like, he's trying to do a lot of his talking points, but so much of it is catered to white supremacists, and like he still hasn't figured out how to do this the great replacement pitch to people who aren't white. It's like, they're coming in here. They're gonna replace every single one of us. Just get ready. They're changing the demographics. We're dying. Who's we? Who's the we, Donald?
So much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
Thank you. Thank you,
Beautiful. Boo this man. Yes, I love it. You love to see it.
everybody, very much. Great
Thank you,
honor.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
NABJ will email about details regarding the conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris in September. Thank you.
Oh, please tell me we're gonna get one hand job dance. Just one. Just come on. Let's do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Whoa, come on. We do get the remix. I assume this is on Fox. I don't think this is happening live in the stage. What is happening? Oh man, to quote the great Krusty the Clown, what the hell was that? What the fuck did I just see? That just went on and on. It just got worse and worse. That was so beautiful. Oh man, what a beautiful train wreck, start to finish. And again, the dude, he is incapable of doing anything other than boasting about himself, bragging about his accomplishments, and just being racist and condescending. In what world? Like, I would love to be a fly in the wall in whatever team. Like, I bet they didn't coach him at all. I think that's probably the problem. I think
This discussion continues.
I think he just didn't get any coaching whatsoever. That's the only reason this could have gone as bad as it did. Is there more? By the way, people are saying there was like a press conference, but I think that's it, right? Camacho would be proud. Camacho would be proud. That assumes you can even coach Trump. Yeah, that's true. Again, I think all of this speaks to the fact that they're just in a weird echo chamber, a weird safe space, and they don't understand that. And that as soon as you leave that, as soon as you leave the bubble, everything feels like an attack and super aggressive and, oh, this is so nasty. These are your quotes. Like, holy hell. These are your own words, dude. Like, my brother in Christ, this is the things that you have said out loud. It's not an attack. This is you. It's you attacking you. Trump versus Trump. Right? I don't need coaching. That's all that the BTC covered. I know he spoke at the
an epic
disastrous. Oh, they're already reporting on it.
meltdown from the ex-president this afternoon, speaking with 3 journalists at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference in Chicago. A conversation that imploded right before our very eyes on live TV, essentially right out of the gates. Trump immediately breaking into a tirade against the first moderator, Rachel Scott of ABC News, who asked him about his past comments on race. And then Trump questioned Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity. Take a listen.
Yeah. I can't believe he did that. He started talking about how she's not black. He's like, I just thought that she was Indian and you know, and it's like, no, she's always identified as being multiracial and black. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think she is, and I think she's just now because it's cool or something. You're like, what the fuck, Trump? What are you doing? And then starts calling into question her intelligence. She failed the bar exam. I passed 2 cognitive tests. Oh, we saw them, all right? We looked at the tests. Yeah, she became black.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled...
I just want to see the statement. The following is a statement from Harris, the presidential communications director, Michael Tyler, on Donald Trump's tirade. The hostility Donald Trump showed on the stage today is the same hostility he has shown throughout his entire life, throughout his term in office and throughout his campaign for president, as he seeks to regain power and inflict his harmful Project 2025 agenda on the American people. Trump lobbied personal attacks and insults of black journalists the same way he has throughout his presidency. When he failed black families and left the entire country digging out of the ditch that he left us in, Donald Trump has already proven he cannot unite America, so he attempts to divide us. Today's tirade is a simple taste of chaos and division that has been the hallmark of Trump's MAGA rallies in the entire campaign. It's also exactly what the American people will see from across the debate stage as Vice President Harris offers a vision of opportunity and freedom for all Americans. All Donald Trump needs to do is to stop playing games and actually show up at the debate on September 10th. I wonder if he's going to get pressured into that. If like
Vice
enough,
President Kamala Harris.
like, you know, you will come across as profoundly soy if you don't do this, sir. It's this or soy. What does that mean? What is soy? What is soy?
Who is the first black
Do I
and
wanna be
Asian American
soy?
woman to serve as vice
Am I
president and be on
soy?
a major party ticket as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define it?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition? Give
That
me-
is that.
Oh man, I love it. I love that his old brain just can't stop himself. You know, if you didn't think it was a substitute for the N-word before, I'm pretty hopeful at this point everyone is very clear on that now. And again, if you just live in this weird fucking safe space echo chamber that they all do, you don't realize how racist half the shit that all of you have been telling each other is. Like, to say that you wouldn't trust a plane if it was flown by a black pilot, that used to be what the most racist fucking family member you knew would say and get yelled at the dinner table kind of shit, you know? The white dinner table. She's like, oh my God, you can't say that. That's so racist. But now they all just say that to each other. It's just like common phrase. Like, oh yes, yeah. No, sorry, but this is just about hiring the best people for the job. And I don't think that they're accomplished. Yes. Wow. That's where we're at, eh?
That is
Give me a
literally
definition
the words.
then. Would you give me a
How do
definition?
you define it? She's like, yes, that's the literal definition of what the word is. Yeah. What does that tell you? The definition of the word? Sorry, I'm confused.
Definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on...
It's every slur at once, the omni slur. I mean, it is typically their substitute for a lot of things. Oftentimes, it is their substitute for the N-word, right? In the same way that they've done this many times in the past for many other words. Even woke, they've tried to turn woke into a slur itself. But yes, they also use it for women as well. It is also their good old-fashioned misogyny and sexism. And when it's just like, you know, they didn't know how to react to the Trump shooting, and immediately the narrative was this was the woman's fault. The woman, the Secret Service agent who was a woman, she DEI, the DEI hire, it was her. She did this. I was just like, again, weird safe space echo chambers that if you're not outside of it, you think it's normal to talk and think this way. And that's why they're incapable of not being weird. Like when you see so many different people now at this point, right? When we were watching Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly yesterday, like immediately Ben Shapiro was like, yes, so they're using the weird slur on us. And I think it's just projection, okay? Because they're the ones who are weird at the end of the day. And then they proceed to do and say the weirdest fucking things in the world. And she's like nonstop. He's like fucking gigantic trans titties jiggling at the White House, and then they mutilate it. RuPaul's Drag Race is covered in the blood of breasts, flesh, and you're like, oh my God. Oh man, back away, Satan. No, what is going on here? You demons. Like you cannot stop yourselves. And to people who aren't consuming this trash 24/7 or mocking it, yeah, it's profoundly strange. Apolitical people. Like I have normies who have come up to me and been like, I don't consider myself a leftist. And I'm like, I know. But I feel like somehow I'm being called one because just of how extreme the right has become. Like they're just so they're gross. Like just genuinely gross. They're just like openly and proudly racist, and also just obsessed with trans people. They won't stop talking about them. And it's like, I know. I know, it's wild. Like all their brains are so poisoned by this shit, and they can't leave it. And because of that, they think that this is how the rest of the world thinks. Like it's until they have some light interactions with people outside of the bubble that all of a sudden it's like, whoa, that's super racist. Yeah, no, the things you just said, so nasty, so mean, so cruel. I've done more for you people, more than any other president. The most since Abraham Lincoln, the most. And you're like, Jesus Christ, Trump, you no one thinks this way. No one talks this way outside of the MAGA.
On the ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
Now, if you're thinking, now this is pretty extremely wild and racist. He's basically trying to invoke the one drop rule again. You would be correct. He's being incredibly weird and racist right now. But don't worry, they have a plan to turn this around, and a lot of the key spokesmen introducing Trump right now are definitely going to dial down the racism.
I am a strong woman, a mom, a lawyer, and an American. And unlike you, Kamala, I
Good job, Elon.
know who my roots are. I know where I come from. and I don't play.
Great job, Elon. This is the best defense against just the outright fucking, racism of Republicans right now, is that your social media site is so cooked, it's so bad, it's such a horrifyingly just grotesque experience that people like myself, it's my largest social media account, and I do this for a living. I'm trapped. I am handcuffed to this website until, I catch up relatively in a different social media. So I have to see all of the worst human beings in the world all just hanging out every single day and just blasting their opinions, just fucking vomiting and scrummeting that shit all over the internets. It's just disgusting, and it sucks. The website is so bad, it's so cooked, it's so broken. Every day you're just like, that's not supposed to happen. I'm not supposed to be able to see this, but I do. That's wild. The thing is just so broken. Why not just go full mask off at this point? I'm serious, all right? JD Vance is going to lead the way. He's going full sicko mode at this point. He's just basically like, I need to control your wombs. And so as long as he's doing that, the rest of you just start saying the 14 words just to get it out of the way, Just get ahead of this. You might as well at this point, right? If you're going down this road, if this is the actual line of attack, it's going to be like, well, we're going to kind of do the birther thing again. Yeah, I know it's racist, but whatever. We're going to do the birther thing again, but maybe we'll just really ramp it up and, fucking nail that shit so everyone just thinks that, like, if you're black, you're not American. Go real weird with it.
Hey, if you'd like to unlock secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Voltimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincel, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.